Hello gun lovers. Once again, back to my Tisas 1911 here. And I was thinking about something on this gun. I did like the idea that it was just a nice US government clone. Plain Jane, nothing really customized or unique about it, as I like to customize my firearms. And I really thought it would be kind of cool to keep this as it was. But I was thinking maybe I could do a little bit with it. Now, it's been a long complaint with the 1911 about the sights. The sights are just not great, wonderful sights, especially for quick acquisition. So I was wondering about something I could do to make that a bit more visible. And so you can give it some color, paint the sights and all that. But I thought I would try this right here. What I got is some gun sight tape. And this is from gunsighttape.com. So you can buy these in a number of places. I got these on eBay, but you can also get them on Amazon or kind of any various place there. But this is the gun sight tape, and if you buy their standard little set, you'll get these three colors: this green, sort of this bright fuchsia color, and white. Now, when I bought it, I thought that fuchsia color was going to be more orange. That's what it looked like in all the photos. But this is what we got, and this is what I'll try. And the reason I wanted to try this is that for my modern guns, I do like kind of a red or red-orange for the front, and then green in the back for the sight acquisition right there. And so I thought I would see if I could try something right here with 1911. So let's see how this tape works. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is to clean off the sights with some sort of alcohol or degreaser and get them ready for the tape. So that's our step one. Okay, what I've done is I've disassembled the gun, and so I just have the slide here to work on. Thought it might be easier just to kind of pull it apart. That way I can just have this, lighter piece. And I've already taken a swab and cleaned off the sights front and rear with some alcohol. Now, this gun is really pretty new and hasn't been used a whole lot, so not too dirty, but I always want to degrease it. And so there we go. There's the front sight, and or there's the rear sight, and there's the front sight right there. Looking at it, ready to put the tape on. And the swab was, really nothing on there, so it shows that they weren't dirty or anything. But maybe there's something that will get off on there, and then they should be all nice and clean and dry and ready to put the tape on. So as I mentioned, the tape will come like this, and you have these three little strips here, and you get a decent amount. This is like, what, 6 inches worth? And some information says that the tape comes off, just put on some new ones. So I guess they give you enough here for that, and I'm going to hope the tape doesn't come off. We'll see how it works here. So I'm going to use just this green for the back and this sort of fuchsia pinky one, I suppose, for the front. We'll see how that works. So all I need to do is just to cut off some little bits here, and actually just this little bit right here really should be all that I need. I'm going to put one all the way across the back sights right here, and then the rest of that will just be for, I don't know, future use or replacement. So let's see how this size compares. Now, one thing I noticed in trying to cut the tape with an X-Acto knife is that the tape was really hard to cut. It's like very sort of almost like rubbery almost. So I cut off a little strip here, and the idea is to put this across this rear sight. So of course I'll peel off the backing paper, stick it on, and we'll see what happens from there. So here I've taken the piece and stuck it there on the rear sights. Of course, I cut that piece a little bit too long, figuring I would just kind of cut it off at the end. Too long better than too short, right? And of course I'll have to cut a little notch in the middle so that I can see through it. Otherwise, what good is that, right? But I thought this might be something, some way to try it. And of course there's enough there to try various things if it doesn't work. But there you can see, there it is, initial placement on the rear sight, kind of compares to the finish. And also to sort of what the finish of the tape itself looks like. The more I think about it, it feels more like vinyl. So it's a very tough material, it seems, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to cut through it as needed. So after a bit of scraping and trimming and getting on there, working it around, that's what I got for it. So you can see that's the full width of the tape and how far it goes down on the 1911 sights on there. So I think that should look okay. I didn't want to use less than that. I thought I would see how the whole sort of width of the tape works, as opposed to just to get the top little bars, you probably have to slice it right down the middle in half, I guess. But I've got this on there, and I sort of cut and scraped out the middle bit so that I could see the front sight. And of course, in doing that, it's very possible you might scrape away the finish there on that top. But I guess that's just sort of how it might go. But that's about what it would look like on the back end, at least using the green tape. Now let's take a look at the front sight. Here's the piece I cut off to use for the front sight, and here we go. Let's see if you can see this here. Put it on the front sight. Now it's actually about twice as wide as the actual sight itself. You see that? So I probably need to take this piece and see what I can do to trim it down even further, because unlike the back sight, there's no place for the extra bit to go. I want this to go just on the front. I probably don't want to have it wrapping around the edges or anything, just right that this front bit here. And I'm thinking it would be much easier to take care of it and try and trim it in half lengthwise right now before I put it on the sight to kind of get it to match up there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'll see what I can do with the X-Acto. I found for trying to trim this stuff with an X-Acto blade, and this is going to be one of the sharpest things you can find, even though this one I guess is a little old. But rather than trying to like cut and sort of pull through, it just kind of grabs on the vinyl. I found what the better technique is to kind of press and then just keep putting firm pressure, and just kind of keep pressing down and down and down again, not trying to slice but kind of push, and that seems to cut it better because of the vinyl nature of this tape. So let's see if I can try and make this even thinner, maybe even like halfway, to fit on this front little blade of my my front sight. Here's the piece I cut off to use for the front sight, and here we go. Let's see if you can see this here. Put it on the front sight. Now it's actually about twice as wide as the actual sight itself. You see that? So I probably need to take this piece and see what I can do to trim it down even further, because unlike the back sight, there's no place for the extra bit to go. I want this to go just on the front. I probably don't want to have it wrapping around the edges or anything, just right that this front bit here. And I'm thinking it would be much easier to take care of it and try and trim it in half lengthwise right now before I put it on the sight to kind of get it to match up there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'll see what I can do with the X-Acto. I found for trying to trim this stuff with an X-Acto blade, and this is going to be one of the sharpest things you can find, even though this one I guess is a little old. But rather than trying to like cut and sort of pull through, it just kind of grabs on the vinyl. I found what the better technique is to kind of press and then just keep putting firm pressure, and just kind of keep pressing down and down and down again, not trying to slice but kind of push, and that seems to cut it better because of the vinyl nature of this tape. So let's see if I can try and make this even thinner, maybe even like halfway, to fit on this front little blade of my my front sight. So there's how it looks on the front sight there. just kind of judging by the way they designed the tape and especially the width of it. I think it's probably designed for more modern sights, not this very thin curved one on the original 1911. But with it right there, there is my sight picture, which I think will be better than it was before. Not very 20th century GI, that's true, but hopefully it will make the acquisition a little bit better. And that's a pretty minor adjustment there to the gun, which I'm not going to make major changes to it, but just a little bit maybe to customize it, make it my own, and maybe a little more comfortable to use. So there is the gun sight tape. Once again, that's gunsighttape.com, and you can find them on Amazon and on eBay. Kind of pick it up wherever you want. The price is pretty good. It's about $6, I guess, for that little bit. And of course, you could put it on a whole bunch of guns if you wanted. I just have it on this one that I have need for. I'm not sure I have any other place to put it on for guns, but I'll check and see. So we'll see if this works. The main thing is going to be how does it hold up being used out in the field, coming in and out of a holster, things like that. We'll check that out. I don't really care to replace it and go through this whole process again. If it's something that doesn't hold up well, I might think about using gun sight paint. But we'll see how this goes, and I'll let you know. But so far, has a nice look, and it mimics my other firearms, at least my pistols, and not too much of a change from the standard GI look.